Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Pros podcast. I'm Kristen Knapp, and I'm here with David Little, the co-founder of Crown Capital Resources. Thank you for being here today, David.
I appreciate the opportunity to come on, Kristen.
Awesome. Well, I really want to get into Crown Capital and kind of what you guys do. It sounds like you've had a great journey with it already. How about you just give me some background on, when you founded it till today?
Yeah, sure thing. So the inception of Crown Capital Resources was actually what a lot of people call a side hustle. My background and the other co-founder as well, our background are in engineering. We had a very long 15-year career in engineering, but as both of us stepped into those roles, we were always interested in real estate. So we always had different real estate projects that we were doing, whether it was raw land development or owning rental properties, Airbnbs, et cetera. And me and Jeremy came together in 2017 and decided to start Crown Capital Resources, started doing private lending. And what we found was that all the things we did in real estate, we loved it the most. We were super passionate about it. So we maintained it as a side hustle from 2017 up until 2024, last year, when the business had grown to the point where it just became a no-brainer, both from a personal standpoint and financially, to leave our full-time corporate roles and dive in full-time. So we are both full-time in the business for the first time in a long time, and it's been a really great year.
Yeah, that must feel really good to start doing it full-time.
Absolutely.
And as you've been building it, what's something that you've learned to get to where you are today, when building this business and making it, become so successful?
Yeah, I think for myself and Jeremy, especially having engineering backgrounds, there's not a silver bullet in business. It's just a continual optimization of your business model over time. And so that's one of the things that we focus on. We want to be 1% better every day, right? And those sort of dedication compounds over time. So we're always thinking about what in our operations could we optimize, or what in our systems could we make better. And we even challenge ourselves to do so, but we challenge our teammates as well. And we say some of their annual personal goals are, hey, what are some efficiencies that you added to the business? Because we want to empower them to say, hey guys, this isn't working well, this could work better, here's what I'd recommend.
So how does Crown Capital differentiate itself from other commercial lenders?
Yeah, so one unique thing about us within our marketplace, we right now encompass only 0.13% of the Texas market share. So it's not a hyper competitive space, and it's a really big playground that we're playing in, comparatively speaking. The way we do differentiate ourselves, however, is we are all about service. We focus on our client relations. And one of the things that we tell our clients is, hey, we are not going to be the cheapest lender out there. If you are all about reducing your points and fees, there are people who are cheaper than us, but we're going to outcompete everybody on service. So when you call us, you can always talk to one of the business owners. We don't change term sheets on people in the last minute. When you're servicing things, we like to get draw payments out in 24 hours versus 2 weeks, like some of our competitors. And so all these things really stack up. And so sometimes we'll have a competitor will come to us, and then they'll go shop rates, and then they'll go to another lender, big box lender. get a little bit cheaper rates. But what we see a lot of times is that they end up coming back because it's just such a hassle on the other side. And they just say, you know what, it's a little bit more expensive with you guys, not a lot more, but it's totally worth it from a service standpoint. And those efficiencies that they're gaining in the draws and in the underwriting, all that just stack up and make their life easier.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Totally. And you get what you pay for. So cheap is not always better. It's very rarely better.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
And then talk about, so you guys have an income fund as well on top of the other part of the business.
Yeah, that's right. So interestingly enough, so for the first 5 years of the business, we self-funded the entire business. So me and Jeremy seed funded the company and we grew that capital over time. But about 24 months ago, our parents started asking if they could invest with us, and then it grew to family and friends. And then that broad group of investors has grown over time. And so essentially the way to think about it is Crown Capital Resources is a private lender, and we deploy capital, originate loans, service loans. But the way we primarily fund those loans now is through a 506c income fund named Crown Capital Income Fund. So third-party investors can come in, they can invest their capital. We pay 9 to 10% return for them. So it's a very competitive space. It's relatively liquid investment. We don't have large holdback periods like typical real estate funds do, where it's say, hey, we want you to invest with us, but it's going to be a 3-year hold. For us, it's a 6-month lockup. We're very, very liquid comparatively. And it's a completely passive investment. We're super transparent with what's going on in the business. We do quarterly newsletters where we give out all our key metrics for the business, where we focus on what we call radical transparency, because we say we don't want this to be a black box investment for you. But we actually provide the entire loan tape and say, hey, you want to see where all the capital deploys? Here's our loan tape. And then, here, by the way, here's the county link so you can self-verify and make sure that we hold the first lien position on all those notes. Because keep in mind, this fund is primarily today comprised of our closest family and friends. So we take our duty as a fiduciary very responsibly, as you could imagine.
Yeah, I mean, that's wonderful. And so you guys, as far as that part of the business, you function nationally, correct?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yeah, we've got, there's no geographic limit to our third-party capital investors. We've got people from Washington, from Florida, from LA, from all over the place. So the big consolidation are people from Texas, as you could imagine. That's where we're from. But it has started to broaden out because as people kind of look at this and they say, it's an opportunity for me to earn a passive 10%. And, it's a relatively liquid fund. It's relatively low risk since everything's massively over collateralized in a first lien position. So people like that as kind of a diversification away from a typical equities portfolio.
Right. And kind of, if you could talk more about that, like someone trying to get into this for the first time and not really knowing, or maybe being nervous of doing this for the first time, what would you say to them?
From an investment side or from a borrower client side?
From an investment side. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the main thing when looking for a GP, somebody who's running these funds, that I would focus on is track record, is transparency, and then is operational key metrics for how the business is doing, right? Because, and realize that when you get into these funds and some are going to offer higher rates of return, it's going to be there's going to be a compensatory level of higher risk associated with that as well. So for example, I have seen, just came across a mezzanine fund that was offering 18% interest to their third-party capital investors. And that sounds good on its face until you realize that mezzanine means second or third lien position notes. So if something goes wrong within the real estate portfolio, first lien position is likely going to get paid back. The second and third, there's a much higher chance for a capital loss.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
But that's kind of one thing. The second thing is transparency. A lot of these funds are kind of black boxes. You're putting your money in, and there's kind of a rough guideline of what they're going to deploy their capital to, but it's really hard to verify that. And then the third is track record as well. I mean, that's huge, right? So asking key questions like, how long have you been doing this? Is this a full-time job for you guys? How many foreclosures have you guys had? And so we're super conservative in the way that we do things. Operating a little over 8 years now, we've only actually had one formal foreclosure. So we're really proud of that. An investor's never lost capital with us. In fact, an investor's never even not been paid a monthly interest payment with us. Wow. So all those things are just credibility builders. As you get when you're out there and you're talking to people about potentially raising money, it's what you're essentially trying to establish first is credibility. And then once we've got a handle and you've established that, then you can really move into, hey, what is this investment opportunity after that? Right.
I mean, that sounds awesome. It sounds like you guys are doing such a great job.
The capital fundraising side I love doing it, but it's a really interesting side of the business, right? Because, there have been times where I'll sit down with an individual and after 20 minutes into breakfast, they're like, hey, this sounds great. I'm in, like, where do I start? I'm ready to deploy some capital. And then there's some people who you've been having conversations with and sharing how the business is going for 6+ months before they're finally like, okay, I'm ready to dip my toe in. So, right. And that's what we generally find. People will kind of step in with a lower capital amount. They might start in with like 50,000 and then over time grow that capital base with us because, again, they see that transparency, they see the track record, they see the payments coming in, and they become more comfortable with the investment over time, which that I would say that's what happens 80% of the time. It's very rare for somebody to just come in with a huge amount of capital. It's more so somebody says, hey, I love this opportunity. Love you guys. Let's test this out with a smaller amount of capital and see where it goes.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And then kind of going over back to the lending side, can you just walk us through maybe a recent deal where you were able to secure capital faster and more efficiently for your client?
Yeah. So from a lending side, we actually get a decent amount of our clients especially on the front end, from other lenders falling through. And so other lenders saying, hey, they have had a term sheet, and then they get to the closing table and say, hey, it's going to be, we're going to need another 10% down. So I need another $40,000 at closing. So we get a lot of emergency calls, especially on the residential side, that say, hey, I'm going to lose my earnest money. I need to close this deal. And we've closed some deals as quick as 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would say in our portfolio for residential, nothing is farther out than about 10 days. Our average, when somebody calls and say, hey, I've got a residential deal, our average close time is about 7 days. But since we're a smaller shop and we can evaluate it quickly, we don't have a ton of bureaucracy or red tape. If we do have those emergencies, we can fund something in a 24-hour period. And what that does for us is that client now knows, like, hey, these guys are like all over it. These guys can take care of this. Their term sheet didn't change. They got me through the door. So we've actually, a good chunk of our repeat client base, we capture them on the front end through other lenders just not behaving really well or not performing really well, I should say. So it kind of works out for us, to be honest.
Absolutely. And you mentioned kind of, changing deal terms and stuff like that, but what are some other things that you're seeing from other lenders where they're kind of dropping the ball for people?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yeah, a big one that becomes a real pain point for clients is renovation funds and escrow. And so typically most lenders function this way is they will front the capital needed for the purchase of the property, less down payment, less the client's down payment, and then they hold back all the renovation funds back in an escrow account. And then they dole those out as the renovations are done and are retroactive. So in other words, like let's say you have $60,000 in escrow for renovation, and the client comes in and says, "Hey, I finished the roof and some of the some of the flooring, like making things up. I'm requesting a reimbursement for $20,000." Other lenders will say, "Okay, that sounds great. Let's send an inspector out there." And the inspector will take 2, 3, 4 days to get out there, maybe, and then he'll write his report, which is another week. And so then they'll get that capital back, 1 to 2 weeks later. Versus the way we do it is we say, "Hey, please send us some pictures and video walkthrough. Okay, the floors are clearly installed. Okay, the roof's clearly installed." So we do same day reimburses.
Got
And
it.
so you can imagine the pain point of that when you have to do that 6 to 7 draw request over the course of a loan. Getting same day cash back and being able to pay your subs, pay your contractors is way different than having to close that for 1 to 2 weeks times 6 times over, right? So that's another really big pain point um, that we do see with other lenders that are different than us.
Absolutely. And how do you match the right funding solution to the right client?
Yeah, so typically a client will come to us, and so um, we really have 3 loan products, right? So we have a flip loan product, a flip for residential, a cash out for residential, and then a bridge loan for commercial. So about 20% of our portfolio is commercial notes, but we'll focus on the residential one. Um, a, a majority of our residential portfolio is all repeat investors. So they're guys we've worked with for several years, and we know them. I mean, we know them. We probably know their wife's name, but we have a good relationship with them at this point. And they'll call us up and they'll say, "Hey, I've got a loan I'm looking for. Here's the rough address. Here's the rough purchase price. I think I can get it at. Here's my rough renovation. Would you guys take and evaluate this?" So we pull all that information in and we underwrite it internally. And then we actually come out and say, "Hey, I think after this is renovated, we're seeing a 400K ARV. Here's your term sheet." So a lot of these deals are being brought to us. We don't seek out the deals. And the nice thing about this business is that a lot of your residential base is all repeat business. Like if you treat people really well, you service the loans, you originate them well, they're going to come back to you. And the beauty of that is you can almost guarantee that if somebody's flipping and this is how they're feeding their family, and let's say last year they flipped 4 houses, you better, it's a good guess to say that their goal this year is they're going to flip 6 or 8.
Mhm.
So that's one of the beautiful things about this business is that your high quality borrower base tends to grow over time.
Right.
And that's one thing that we do different versus some of our competitors is a lot of our competitors treat, in my opinion, their borrowers as just kind of one-offs. And they have a huge revolving door of new people coming in, but we don't operate that way. We'd rather have a large percentage of our base being, high quality repeat borrowers who pay their bills on time. And that's how we keep our foreclosures low. That's how we sleep better at night, all of the above. So that's how fundamentally we run our business a bit different.
That's incredible information, and that makes a lot of sense as well. I can see how that's how you guys grow with your client base.
Yeah.
And how is the current lending environment changing, and what should borrowers be aware of in 2025?
Yeah. So the big thing that we're seeing across our portfolio is that the loans are taking longer to pay back than we've seen over the last 7 years. And it's twofold. So it's number one, properties are staying on the market longer, as you could imagine. Properties used to sell anywhere from 25 to 35 days from what we were seeing. You can pretty well add another 45 to 60 days on top of that. And so, and then the second thing that's taking longer, as you can imagine, is sometimes finding decent contractors as well. And so that can be, people uh, walking away from jobs or finding high quality individuals, all of the above. But so the renovation timeline is actually extending as well. And so if you're out there flipping houses, your calculations need to change a little bit now from when, maybe 2 years ago, right? You need to have a little bit more cash available to continue to pay the insurance, continue to pay the interest payments, to make sure to have um, a fund if let's say you open up a wall and something didn't turn out like you thought it would. So having a little bit of a contingency fund is always a really good idea. But that's something that we especially work hard with on our newer, less seasoned investors, and to say, hey, let's take a hard look at your current liquidity and see if this project is right for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, that's great information. And then just in terms of, how you started this business, what advice would you give to someone who's kind of doing real estate on the side or trying to get into stuff and wanting to make it a full-time gig? What would be your advice?
Yeah, I would say that a few things. First and foremost is real estate is incredibly broad. And I ultimately pursued this because I'm so passionate about it. And I loved the lending side a lot more than I loved everything else. I went in initially, started buying up rental portfolios, and my goal was I said I wanted to have 50 rental houses. And I realized within a few years, I hated being a landlord. It was just the worst. It would keep me up at night. It was stressful for me. And so very clearly it wasn't a fit for me as far as that goes. So my first piece of advice is get in and start trying a bunch of different things. And I'll even be a little bit more specific on my actionable advice, because I know a lot of people are thinking, well, like, I don't have $50,000 to go drop on a rental property or things like that, to start the down payment for the financing. And if you really are interested in a segment of the real estate market, what I would do is I would find a player that's doing that in your real estate market, reach out to them and offer to work for them for free. That is my advice, because when you're young, you have no capital and no expertise, but you have a lot of time. And that's what you have to leverage. And so you reach out to the big players and you just tell them, hey, my name is so and so. I'm passionate about this. I see you're let's say, wholesaler. I see you're a wholesaler. I'd love to help you out in the business in any way, shape, or form. I'm willing to work for free. I just want some experience. That's something I guarantee within 6 months of doing that for free, mind you, that's okay. You're going to know, like, is this something I'm very passionate about, or do I need to move into another segment of the real estate market?
Right.
Um,
No, great advice.
yeah, so that's the thing. You have to follow your passions, because ultimately, what's with the being a business owner and striking out from the W-2 world, there's so many incredible benefits to that, but there are associated costs that come with that, and a lot of it terms of stress and making sure that you can financially provide for your family. So, but you got to follow your passion, and when you're 23 years old, trying to figure out that, you have no idea. So my
Got it.
biggest advice is just try everything. Just
Yeah.
just get out there and start trying.
And what was it about lending in particular that drew you to it?
I think it's highly analytical. Um, I think you're going in on the front end. It's within the engineering space. I was more on the finance engineering side of it, and so I was doing underwriting for larger scale capital oil and gas projects. And so I'm still doing underwriting for capital projects, but more on the real estate side. So there's a complementary skill set there too. Um, and I would say that it's a systems based business, a lot more so than some other real estate things. Like I'll give an example of like flipping. Let's say we owned a flipping company. There's so much of a kind of a human component that you just cannot quantify and systematize. There's just that variable. And the fact that lending doesn't have that as much is something that really draws me to it, something that I enjoy.
Yeah, I can see that from your engineering background, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell everybody where they can find out more about Crown Capital.
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is crowncapitalresources.com, and that's the same Instagram handle at Crown Capital Resources. My personal email address within the company is david@crowncapitalresources.com. So if any of the listeners have any general questions or specific questions, please feel free to reach out. I promise you I will respond. I get a lot of great conversations and communications, and have even met up with some people in person from some of these podcasts. So always happy to help out and help mentor people or answer questions along the way.
Awesome. And if anyone wants to work for you for free, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll always take free labor.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this. This has been great. And
Yeah.
I hope you have a great day. And for anyone listening, please check Crown Capital out, check David out, and yeah, subscribe if you love this podcast. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kristen. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.